Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, things adjacent. In the words of Willy Wonka, so much time, so little to do. Strike that, reverse that. Gonna cover as much as I possibly can today. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for the discussion. I think yesterday's video, actually opened the door to some different kinds of discussion, which I'm into. I find it interesting. I saw some interesting comments that I wanted to respond to, not in this video, but in the comment section. Again, it's weird. I was listening to a video, and the host of the show, of this video show, podcast, very famous, said, I'm a brutal self-critic of himself. And I feel I'm the same way. I'm a brutal self-critic. It's actually really difficult for me to share my political opinions or, my opinions on anything. It takes a lot of generated self-will to kind of like get over the hurdle of, not sounding stupid or not having people appreciate what you have to say, or people, deriding you, or the deal. And even after, a lot of times after I finish a video, sometimes I'm so self-conscious of maybe some of the things I said that I go back and watch it and make sure, like, oh, did I cross a line? Did I say something I shouldn't have said? Do I, I doubt myself a lot. But that being said, I feel that it's my duty to myself and to others to say what it is that I have to say or need to say. Critics be damned, but I'm really, up for the debate as always. So I want to show you guys something. I don't know if you guys know what this is. Some of you might know what that is. That actually is something that I make myself. I've been making silk screens for a long time, and the purpose of those is to make these Black Bear News. Well, this silk screen, the purpose of this silk screen is to make a Black Bear News t-shirt. So I have the capabilities of making Black Bear News t-shirts. So I just want to let you all know they are for sale. I make these by hand. I make them to order. So, I don't like go out and buy a bunch of t-shirts and, make up a bunch of t-shirts hoping that I'll sell them, because that's wasteful. When I make them for music, I kind of do that. I try to anticipate what people are going to want. But the problem is I end up with a lot of t-shirts that I don't sell, and I don't really like that. So I really try and like make very small, tiny batches of t-shirts when I'm making them for my music business, so that I don't, so it's not wasteful. What I prefer to do is know exactly the color and the size that people want, so that I can make them to order and there's no waste at all. So yeah, they're for sale. If you are domestic, you can buy one for $20. If you are international, you can buy one for $25. We're going to go with those prices right now because I don't know what it's actually going to cost. I think shipping has gone up quite a bit, but we'll go with that for now because I don't really want, I feel like more than that is like pretty exorbitant for a t-shirt. So if you want one, if you want a t-shirt, send me an email to blackbearnews@gmail.com. Tell me the exact size and color. They come in black, gray, which is the color that I showed, and like an army green, like a khaki green. You can decide between those colors. You can tell me what you want, and then you can use the link below to just pay for the t-shirt. I might make an actual t-shirt link. I don't know. I probably won't, because it's just might get a little complicated. But yeah, if you just want to use the link below to pay for it, and we'll kind of figure it out as it goes along. But just let me know. Moving along, we are already 4 minutes into this, and can you guys hear the the jackhammering going on? There's a jackhammer next door. I don't know how long that's going to go on for. I hope not too long. Why did I just lose my actual email? Hello. Sorry, guys. Okay. A couple of comments, couple of good comments. This is from Realize. It's hard to hold people's political views against them. We are born into this system of propaganda. If you're not the type of person who researches real, verifiable history and are constantly sharpening your critical thinking skills, then you have no chance of understanding the empire that we reside in. Most people don't know who Edward Bernays was, the significance of his endeavors, or who Smedley Butler was. War is a racket, and the list goes on and on. Most people don't understand that there's a system in place that manipulates their opinions and desires and consent. It is very frustrating when you're trying to converse with people who are ignorant to the facts of any meaningful topic. Have you ever wondered why the German people went along with Hitler? That's the power of propaganda coupled with desperation. And do you understand what we are going along with? I'll give you a hint. It's worse. The vulnerability of people to propaganda is the scariest trait of humanity. Ding, ding, and another ding. If you haven't invested thousands of hours investigating reality, your opinions are null and void. People definitely don't understand that fact. That's really one of the main reasons we will not win this battle. And that is exactly why I talk about politics, because I feel that I have I've really looked at a lot of things for a long time, and I'm not saying that my understanding is greater than others, but I am here to educate. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But I would hope that you just listen and investigate everything that I'm saying. Don't take my word for it. Jay Thadcast says, overhauling the economy are indeed the only words that won't scare the pants off of society. The global majority consists of young families that could never entertain the concept, religious zealots that are climate deniers based on faith and dogma, economic junkies unwilling to envision anything but infinite growth, the power of intention, the secret, Abraham Hicks's curse on sustainability. The unpleasant truth is you do seize wealth by believing. And that's true. No fiscally successful person got there by understanding the limitations of things to solve problems. In a world where everyone is in some way dissatisfied with less, only growth remains. And that is a great last sentence. I don't know if my mic is picking up that noise, but it's really crazy. In a world where everyone is in some way dissatisfied with less, only growth remains. That's really great. Yeah, no, it is true. I mean, and that's actually probably why I'm not a wealthy person, is because I've always believed that there were limits to growth or limits to things that one should or could have. I've never bought into the whole like rah capitalist system. It's just never been in my soul to be that person. So I've always just been hanging on, like economically. And it's kind of sucks. It's kind of a drag. There are a lot of days when I feel like, gosh, I wish I have some money so I could stop struggling. Whatever. A lot of people struggle. Billions and billions of people on this planet struggle. This is from Steve Moyer. Yes, most revolutions are shams. The new boss is the same as the old boss. Paradigm shifts make things happen, and we need a paradigm shift. We are stuck in the control paradigm, and we need shift to cooperation. More specifically, we are in competition for control, the competition for control paradigm, and need to shift to the cooperation for consensus. Excellent words from Stephen Moyer. I totally and wholeheartedly agree. That's what we need to do. And look, guys, understanding what's going on is understanding the fact that we're up against it big time. But we have time on this planet. We have some time together on this planet. So as evidenced by the reactions to XR and the yellow vests in the comment section, and by people pretty much unanimously, having a problem speaking this morning, unanimously support. They're like, go do it. Do something. Anybody, somebody. Even in the face of dire and probably unavoidable catastrophic climate change. You know, I'm going to continue talking about solutions or possibilities or political movements right up until there's no point in talking about it. And then we'll be talking about other things or doing other things. But until that time, I'll be here. Y'all will be here. We'll be here doing whatever it is that we can. Hopefully those things are positive things. Just getting into just a bunch of different things. So let's start with some weather news. February to remember in LA, it never even reached 70 degrees. And that is wild because I've lived in LA my entire life, and my memory, as far as my memory goes back, there's always in the month of February been a heat wave, or what could be categorized as a heat spell. There's usually 5 days to a week of over 80 degree weather in February in Los Angeles. That's just the weather here. That's the normal weather here. That's not an anomaly. We always get that. We are a Mediterranean climate here. And we do not get like heavy cold winters. That's the rarity. So yeah, this is a weird February in which we actually had a winter. Home restaurant sprawling outdoor patio in Los Feliz, set under a canopy of large trees, was designed to take advantage of California's temperate climate and typically sunny skies. This February has been so cold that the restaurant scrambled to set up extra heaters outside the Craftsman-style house to keep diners and workers warm during the record-setting cold winter. We had 3 heaters going for a while in this month. It just hasn't been enough, said Sam Yu, manager of the restaurant. I'm trying to have the waiters and hostesses wear warmer clothing, but I have 1 heater set up right by the host stand so they don't catch colds. For the first time since forecasters began recording data, in at least 132 years, the mercury did not reach 70 degrees in downtown Los Angeles for the entire month of February. All right, so that's a serious anomaly there. The average high for the month was 61 degrees. Yeah, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but just giving you the numbers. Yeah, it's been really cold. And now, the last couple of days, it's actually warmed up. We're supposed to get a bunch of rain, another Pineapple Express, a bunch of storms next week, but looking like warmer weather. But I'm happy as a clam because now it's above 50 degrees or 50 degrees at night and, in the 60s during the day, which is like perfect. I feel totally and completely comfortable in this weather. Moving on. I've got too many things open is the problem. Too many browsers. I had something. So in Northern California, they have atmospheric river type storms. New scale. They had a storm last week. New scale for the atmospheric rivers puts Bay Area deluge at nearly category 4. So we have categories of atmospheric rivers now. A series of storms that blasted Northern California this week is being classified as a borderline category 3 or category 4 atmospheric river, somewhere between strong and extreme. Have you heard this terms before, guys? Not before the last 2 or 3 years. This is something completely new. The band of atmospheric moisture dumped as much as 20 inches of rain in parts of North Bay. The North Bay, flooding roads, stranding at least 1,800 people, and cutting off access to low-lying communities of Guerneville and Monterrey along the Russian River. Atmospheric rivers, as the name suggests, are airborne channels of water vapor that form over the ocean and ring out as rain or snow when they make landfall. With this systems capable of unleashing as much precipitation as hurricanes, a team of federal, state, and university scientists recently began rating them like hurricanes on a scale of increasing strength from 1 to 5. Good Lord. Okay, so yeah, we have had tons and tons and tons and tons of rain this year, and we're going to get more water vapor. Anybody? More water vapor? Anybody? And I couldn't find what I was looking for, but basically in Europe, they're about to get a bit of a heat wave or a hot spell. It's been very warm in Europe, especially the UK, in February. So they've had high heat. Also, Australia, it's been extreme. Australia's summer smashes seasonal heat records from February 27th. Australia has posted its hottest summer in the first season, which temperatures exceeded 2 degrees above the long-term average, according to the Bureau of Meteorology. With one more day to round out the season, it is clear Australia has eclipsed the previous hottest summer set in 2012-13. Davy Jones, manager of the Bureau's climate monitoring, told the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. It's been extreme. It's certainly something we haven't seen before. It's been dry and intensely hot right through summer. While final temperatures for February will be set on Thursday, maximum and mean temperatures will come in about 2 degrees above the 1961 to 1990 period the Bureau uses as its benchmark. 2 degrees above, not even above pre-industrial. I wonder what that might be. While minimums were less extreme, they will eclipse the previous record for overnight temperatures set 1 year earlier. All right, I'm going to move on. I just going to touch on these articles because I have so much more to cover. Here's from the New Republic. Dianne Feinstein is a bigger climate threat than Trump. Let's find out. Only a bold plan like the Green New Deal can slow global warming, and that won't happen if powerful Democrats keep calling for moderation. As climate change worsens, so does Donald Trump's denial. On Sunday, the Washington Post reported that his administration is assembling a panel of fringe, industry-funded scientists who represent the Trump administration's most forceful effort to date to challenge the scientific consensus that greenhouse gas emissions are helping drive global warming and the world could face dire consequences unless countries curb their carbon output over the next few decades. As Trump denies, though, Democrats delay. On Friday, in an encounter caught on video, Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein told a group of teenage, oh, did I talk about this? Did you guys see this? This is crazy. She told them, like, don't tell me what to do. You run for senator, you little children. She's an absolute witch. An ambitious... told a group of teenage and preteen climate activists that she won't support the Green New Deal, an ambitious plan to fight climate change introduced by Congresswoman AOC and Senator Ed Markey earlier this month. There's no way to pay for it, she said, referring to the plan's pledge to decarbonize the U.S. economy by the year 2030. There's no way to pay for saving people's lives. Sorry, can't do it. And there may be no way to pay. It may cost way too much than we have on the whole planet. But you know, it's a good thing to just tell children that. Sorry, kids, shut up. That's basically what she said. She said, shut up. The children pleaded with Feinstein to be brave and to think about their future. We are the ones who are going to be impacted, one girl pleaded. The 85-year-old insisted she understood, citing her 7 grandchildren, but then dashed the school children's hopes. I've been in the Senate for over a quarter of a century, she said. I know what can pass and I know what can't pass. Later, Feinstein put out a statement calling climate change one of her top priorities and released a draft resolution of her alternative to the Green New Deal. Oh my God. Feinstein is not a climate villain on par with Trump. She has a 90% lifetime rating from the League of Conservation Voters, while Trump is withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Agreement, and his EPA is methodically attempting to undo everything it accomplished under President Barack Obama. But the California senator is the biggest threat to the left's goal of slowing climate change before it's too late. The Earth has already warmed about 1.1 degrees Celsius, or 1.6 or 1.7, depending on where the baseline is and what you believe, due to greenhouse gases released by mankind. Some scientists say the warming must remain below 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees, according to others, to avoid an irreversible catastrophe. Meeting that goal will require the boldest action imaginable. There are bolder plans imaginable than the Green New Deal way, but it's certainly the boldest action that a significant number of politicians have ever backed. The Green New Deal is one of the largest interventions in U.S. industrial policy in a long time. Rihanna Gunright, who helped draft Ocasio-Cortez's proposal, told The Atlantic's Robinson Meyer. Proposal calls for government funding to kickstart a green industrial revolution. Replacing America's gas-powered powers. Okay. Installing high-speed rail. Okay. And converting the electricity system to renewables, all within the next 12 years. Well, go for it. But let's include, it's a good start, but let's also include decarbonization, just deindustrialization, degrowth of the economy, teaching people to live without supermarkets and Target and Walmart. Yes, those are going to have to go in the Green New Deal. Yes, airplanes probably going to have to go in the Green New Deal. Yes, cars are going to have to go in the Green New Deal. All the things the Republicans are like, oh my God, these crazy, insane people. Yeah, the people basically destroying their children and grandchildren's futures are calling other people insane, crazy, socialists, communists, pie in the sky. The Green New Deal is impossible to pass in a divided government, which is precisely why it's been criticized by Democratic leaders like Feinstein and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who recently dismissed the Green New Deal as the Green Dream or whatever they call it. These guys are like, oh my God. What's the alternative then? Feinstein's counterproposal would do little to make a difference. It seeks to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, an acceptable goal, albeit 20 years later than the Green New Deal's. To achieve this, Feinstein's resolution only proposes three things: re-implementing myriad Obama-era climate regulations, rejoining the Paris Agreement, and implementing a national price on carbon. It's not that those things are wrong, environmental activist Bill McKibben wrote in the New Yorker over the weekend. It's that they are insufficient, impossibly so. Yeah, everything is black is white and up is down and everything is all over the place. There's a lot of people that think that Trump is actually on some levels good for the issue of climate change because he's drawing so much ire. He's drawing attention to the fact that we need, he's not doing anything about it, so people are getting angry and insisting that there's change. Whereas, and I actually agree with this theory on some level. If you have a Republican, especially a moderate Republican as president, and they're just making these verbal, these kind of like piecemeal little fluffy, like, oh, we're gonna Paris Agreement, yay, and we're gonna get rid of regular cars by 2050, and like just doing just really minimal stuff. Kind of, Obama did some things, kudos, granted, but in the realm of how bad climate change is, pretty minimal stuff. If we have a moderate Democrat in office, everybody's just going to forget, everybody's going to be like, we're good, we're fine, back to shopping, back to whatever it was we were doing, making art or going to movies or, eating lunch. Like that's kind of what the attitude was under Obama. And that was my issue with Hillary Clinton as well, is that, if Hillary Clinton came in, we just have more like fluffy, padded little, climate change. And everybody would be like, oh, but we have a Democrat, so everything's good. We don't have Trump. Oh, phew. So yeah, whatever. Moving on. Interesting article that Osama sent me. Meet the first Democrat running for president on climate change. I don't know if that's true. I mean, maybe. Bernie Sanders a few weeks ago said climate change is the #1 priority for our country or for the planet. He stated that. I don't think that, most of his message is economic, etc. But I guess this is a presidential candidate. This is Washington Governor Jay Inslee, which is, I'm going to talk a little more about this, dishes on the Green New Deal, the filibuster, and more. After years on the periphery of American political life, climate change is having a bit of a moment. Activists, along with 5 Democratic presidential candidates and at least 100 members of Congress, have rallied behind a Green New Deal that proposes a crash program to decarbonize the U.S. economy. Polls on climate change show rising rates of concern across the country and among both political parties. It seems that after decades near the bottom of Democratic priority list, climate has broken into the top 2 or 3. Guess what's going to happen in the next 5 years? Mayhem. And people are going to be like, what about this climate change? Republicans are going to be like, whoa. Climate change. Tucker Carlson is probably going to be like, did somebody talk about climate change? Somebody want to talk about climate change? Oh, with that look. Tucker Carlson look. Dog face. Washington Governor Jay Inslee, who will announce his presidential candidacy Friday morning, is hoping to seize that moment over the course of his 30-year career in public life. First in the Washington State Legislature, House of Representatives, then since 2012, he's governor of Washington State. He has always prioritized sustainability and not always to his political benefit. Now he sees the signature issue, national zeitgeist, aligning at last, and he thinks it can take him to the White House. Interesting. In 2007, Insley released a book called Apollo's Fire, Igniting America's Clean Energy Economy. It called for a broad suite of emission-reducing policies led by massive investments in America clean energy jobs. Okay. With a focus on environmental justice. That's good. That sounds familiar. Are clean energy jobs going to be, teaching people how to farm again? Are you going to break up the agriculture monopolies? Are you going to give people land? Are you going to teach people how to are you going to allow community gardens and co-ops and farming? Are you going to allow people to get off the supermarket teat? If that sounds familiar, well, they didn't call it the Green New Deal, but it was pretty green, a pretty New Deal. Now, to his delight, a youth movement has thrust a similar plan to the center of national debate. He thinks he's the guy to take it over the finish line. Jesus, I'm getting a headache from this, whatever this machinery is going on. Inslee's life will soon involve a whirlwind of state fairs and high school gymnasiums across Iowa and New Hampshire. But earlier this week, when we met at a coffee shop, ironically called the Vox in Seattle, this is from Vox, he was relaxed, sipping tea with a little in the way of entourage. He's a longtime devotee of Washington's natural places and an avid hiker, and it shows. As a North Seattleite, I was a constituent of Inslee's in the early 2000s and have covered his career since he first ran for House. He's a grandfather now, but aside from a few more gray hairs at 68, he is as hale as ever with an athletic build and a blunt, earnest energy. He told me that climate change is his driving motivation and why he believes it can unite the party. We discussed the kind of procedural reforms that might be necessary to actually get climate legislation passed. He calls the Senate filibuster an antebellum rule in the internet age and wants to get rid of it. Has signed Washington up for the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. I don't know what that is. And supports statehood and thus Senate votes for Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. As we discussed on his record, plans, home state. Okay, so I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's an interview, but I'm going to link it below and you guys can read it. Interesting because he has actually been vocal about climate change and about the environment as a governor in Washington State. However, he has, I think I remember reading a Darja Mail article. He has capitulated to a lot of like military interests. He's actually ceded some, control and some lands to, dubious interests that would destroy the environment. So I don't know, I would say a bit of a choppy review of what he's actually done for the environment. But interesting nonetheless. Trying to move on quickly. So there's something in Vice called the climate change paper so depressing it's sending people to therapy. I actually read this paper or something on it a few months ago. This is from, the Jem Bendale Deep Adaptation. What if I told you there was a paper on climate change that was so uniquely catastrophic, so perspective altering, and so absolutely depressing that it sent people to support groups and encouraged them to quit their jobs and move to the countryside? Good news, there is. It's called Deep Adaptation, a map for navigating climate tragedy. I was introduced via an unlikely source, a guy formerly in advertising who left his job to become a full-time environmental campaigner. All right, we're fucked. He told me climate change is going to fuck us over. I remember thinking, should I just accept? Listen, man, listen, people. We think we have a small community, climate change community on YouTube. But the thing is that a lot of people understand what's going on. A lot of people know about this. It's hard to talk. It's just not, I don't know why it's just not, it hasn't broken into the mainstream yet, but it's on the cusp. Climate change is going to fuck us over. I remember thinking, should I just accept the deep adaptation paper and move to the Scottish countryside and wait out the apocalypse? Deep adaptation is quite unlike any other academic paper. I also think, I'm just going to interject, I also think that people know this is going on. There's a lot of people who see this, know this, and they're just like, they're frozen. I don't know what to do. I still got to go to work. I still got kids. I still got, to pay bills. I can't talk about this because it's too much. It's a lot. Deep adaptation is quite unlike any other academic paper. There's the language. We are about to play Russian roulette with the entire human race, and with already 2 bullets loaded. There's flashes of dark humor. I was only partially joking earlier when I questioned why I was even writing this paper. Most of all, there's stark conclusions that it draws about the future. Chiefly, it's too late to stop climate change from devastating our world, and that climate-induced societal collapse is now inevitable in the near term. How near? About a decade. That's, pretty right on. Professor Jem Bendell, sustainability academic at the University of Cumbria, wrote the paper after taking a sabbatical at the end of 2017 to review and understand the latest climate science properly, not sitting on a fence anymore, as he puts on the phone to me. What he found terrified him. The evidence before us suggests that we are set for disruptive and uncontrollable levels of climate change, bringing starvation, destruction, migration, disease, and war. He writes in the paper, our norms of behavior that we call our civilization may also degrade. It's time, he adds, we consider the implications of it being too late to avert a global environmental catastrophe in the lifetimes of people alive today. Golly, where have we heard this message before? As time goes on, more people move towards Guy McPherson's message and not away. More towards Guy McPherson's message, not away. And that is because it is based on science. It's based on astute observation. Even a schmuck like me is familiar with some of the evidence Bendell sets out to prove his point. I'm not going to read this whole thing, guys. I'm going to list it below if you all haven't read it. It's actually quite long, but or long enough. But it's we covered this paper a few months ago, and there's actually a few videos with Jem. I like Jem Bendell. I like his the way he presents his message. I like his talks. He's another good climate communicator like Roger Hallam, who's also an excellent climate communicator. But Jem Bendell has a few a growing number of interviews on YouTube. So just Google him, type it in, listen to some of his talks. It's good stuff. Okay, I'm over my time, but I wanted to cover one more article, if only briefly. Where are we? Where? So there's an article in Rolling Stone. The headline is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants the country to think big. The Democratic Socialist star came to D.C. to swing for the fences and fix America. If Democrats had wanted to troll the GOP, they could hardly have cooked up a better legislator than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She, of course, is the Northeast-educated, Bernie-supporting, wall-protesting, community-organizing daughter of a working-class Puerto Rican family. Born in the Bronx, she was until right around the time that she took the primary in New York's 14th district from a 10-term incumbent. 10 terms. Didn't we have term limits? Whatever happened? We had this huge thing about term limits like 20, 30 years ago. And they're like, yeah, here's where we are. Again, incremental change brings you no change at all. Her striking features are almost possibly symmetrical. Her outlook millennial. Her answers pointed and well-constructed. Today she wears a hot pink pantsuit, which wouldn't bear mentioning, this being 2019 and all, if it weren't for the obvious fact that a hot pink pantsuit intends to announce itself. This is an interview with her. It's long. It's cool. I'm going to link it below, but I just wanted, the headline says it all. We need radical change, not incremental change. We don't need to be careful in the economy. We don't, all of that is out the window at this point politically. And, is it going to happen politically? Magic 8 Ball says probably not. many people in the comment section agree, probably not. I would probably be in that group. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But hey, you don't get the change if you don't ask for it. You don't get anything to move if you're like, nah, probably not going to happen. You got to actually say something and do something. Where Bernie Sanders failed to, get the nomination and get into office, Ocasio-Cortez succeeded. And surprisingly so. And now she's, a big, loud, needed, necessary voice in government and in media and in, society at large. And, she's carrying the torch. She's picking up where Bernie's message left off, and she's carrying the torch for the people that know and understand, and that we need radical change and understand what is actually going on in the world. There's much more people, many, many more people understand than we think. Many more people understand than the mainstream media would lead you to believe, because they don't cover any of this, and they, squash it immediately. So, anyways, I'm going to link all these articles below. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. If you'd like a t-shirt, just, of course, email me, blackbearnews@gmail.com. And until next time, peace.